Now I know what you're wondering. Who is Brannon Braga? Well, he's a producer who worked on Star Trek The Next Generation, Voyager and Enterprise. An impressive resume for sure. But as impressive as when he dated Jeri Ryan for 2 years while she worked on Star Trek Voyager. Well, we all have our career highlights, and so he peaked a bit early. I could have died happy there, but he went on to direct Episode 3, About a Girl, for the Orville. Greetings and welcome to the Prime Directive. I'm your host Jeff MacFarlane, and we're going to jump into this episode written by Seth MacFarlane. The episode starts out with everyone oogling the new hatched baby girl. Yaphit hits on the doctor, and the theme of the episode kicks off. Bortus and Klyden decide they want their baby to undergo a gender-swapped surgery because their whole species is male. Naturally, the doctor refuses, and the captain does so later too. Then a quick stop off to split up an asteroid that's on the trajectory of a planet. Ed makes a crack at his marriage, and then they activate the shoving beam. Later, Ed takes a hard stance with Bortus in his office. It's a nice side of his captaincy. We get to see him a bit more serious. Then we get to see the officers' lounge. I wonder if it has a name like 10 Forward. It's got some nice windows. A lot of boxing with Bortus was pretty cool, obviously to demonstrate that girls are just as strong, though I would have liked to see some futuristic sport like Ambo Jiu-Jitsu, where Riker battled his dad with the sightless helmets and the staffs. I've always wanted to do that.
Ambo Jitsu, the ultimate evolution in the martial arts.
Bortus is getting frustrated and angry with his crew pushing their opinions on him, so naturally, Lamar and Gordon show up to crack some cold ones and watch a movie. I laughed when it was Rudolf the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I thought it would have been a good joke if Bortus actually saw the movie, enjoyed it, and been like, that's an amazing message, but didn't actually realize the message applied to him. But they didn't go there, and that's probably for the best. They balanced humor and seriousness really well in this episode, and we get to see another alien species. Ed's really been put in a Picard position for this, having to uphold the principles and stand up for rights, and he's even asked to be an advocate, which he pawns off to Kelly. We get to see a Bocklin ship, once again. I enjoyed the design. Then we get that great line, between soul and sacrifice beats the heart of civilization, which is a nice nod to the writer who we're actually going to find out about later. We get to planet Bocklin, learn about his culture, and casually ignore the attempted murder of unannounced weapon testing. So next, a tribunal is assembled to decide the fate of Bortus' baby girl. And the prosecutor tries to make the same point over and over. And he's right about the fact that she would be an outcast and her life would be easier as a male, bleak but true in this situation. If anything, that's on his society and how they treat differences, so not really the best point. If he proved anything, it was that his people aren't as evolved as a typical Federation member. Well, at least before the Dominion War, when we were making alliances with criminals and thieves like the Sonar. Bringing Alara up to the stand made sense. Using Gordon wasn't as good as a point, but it was there for comedic value. I do like that she crushed his cube gavel and made it into a spear, which is possibly a nod to the Klingon spear.
It's a damn show trial.
And we almost get personal information about Ed's penis. I'm sorry ladies, you're just gonna have to keep watching the show to find out. I enjoyed the captain's brilliant move to find a female Bocklin, and it shows that the censors work pretty much the same as Star Trek. And it turns out she's the greatest writer of their world. Havina is Gandhi. Gond is Eldon. The prosecutor makes the same point with his sexist reasoning, but Ed stands up to him this time. I didn't have confidence when the tribunal left to make his decision. Ignorance just doesn't go away. In the verdict, the child will receive corrective alterations. The word corrective has never been so offensive, not even when the Borg use it. When they got handed their son, I was hoping they pulled some Ocean's 11 shit and had the surgeon in on it or something and left her unaltered. Bortus accepting what has happened and realizing what is important is the child and giving him a good life. He's right, and it's sad. The Rudolf stuffed animal thing was a perfect touch, and it left me a bit teary-eyed at the end of the episode. I thought this episode was a brilliant way of covering things people avoid talking about. Same-sex marriages, gender identity, sexism. I could go on. There were so many underlying messages. Even how we should avoid conflict by settling it with dance-offs instead of gunfights.
Put it together.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro! Me and you!
I think the jokes all landed in this one, or at the very least fulfilled their purpose in levity. It's just like in John Wick. After he's killed a few people, they try to add a little joke in there so that it's not just murder after murder. You actually enjoy it and it's kind of entertaining. Jokes are meant to alleviate the tension of the issues, and I'm sure some people are going to find that offensive and think they're making light of it, but I'm not one of those people. I think this is going to be a really good episode for the show. It was very Star Trek with all the underlying messages. I think a lot of people are going to be like, that was brilliantly done. But then there's going to be a lot of people that hate it and just rant about it nonstop, which is just going to bring more publicity to the show. I like the painting in the captain's office, though I don't know if it holds any significance, like when Picard had all the old ships that carried the name of Enterprise in his office. The only thing I would have changed about this episode was Klyden turning his mind around after the courtroom with Favina. I mean, maybe it's more true to human nature that he didn't change his mind, I just think it would have opened up more options. If he was on the same side as Bortus, it could have led to what I said earlier, them pulling a fast one on government, keeping the baby, which could have led to issues down the road with his people, maybe a mercenary hunting and kidnapping her like in Serenity, a cool character like that.
You should have taken my offer. Or did you think none of this was your fault?
I don't murder children.
I do.
Do you even know why they sent you?
I believe in something greater than myself. A better world. A world without sin.
And a conflict between his people, maybe even a space battle, putting more pressure on Ed and his crew. I mean, it doesn't have to lead to a war. Diplomacy can resolve issues. It's just where I would have went. All in all, this was a ballsy episode. Very thought-provoking with some great arguments on both sides of the issues. Parents deciding what's best for their kids, people pushing their views and beliefs. Honestly, it's so much to be learned from. I think even in Trek this would have been a tough one on the Prime Directive, not to interfere with the society, yet the principles of the Federation in direct conflict with that. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and remember, Star Trek Discovery comes out this Sunday, and all the Trek people are giving pretty positive reviews. And remember, if we change who we are and wipe away our individuality, we may never achieve the glory for guiding Santa Claus on Christmas Eve.
Rudolph?
Ready, Santa!
Okay, Rudolph. Full power.